Alright, here's a quick video tutorial on how to set your CC3D board to compute correctly for the change in pitch for the 10-degree offset mounts for the Lumineer QAV 250. This right here is a stock G10 ARF kit that I got from Lumineer. So basically I'm running everything how it came. I mean, other than, I'm using Fat Shark 5.8 600 milliwatt transmitter, and I'm using a security camera, Superhad 600 TV line camera, and then a Spectrum receiver. So that might change for you guys, but other than that, this is a standard G10 kit with the these are the Lumineer FXC 1806 14s 2300 kV motors. I'm running 5.3 props. I did buy a bunch of 6.3 Gen Fam props. They were horrible. I tried several different ones, and the issue that I was running into was that there was so much vibration, bad tracking, harmonics, that they felt a lot less stiff than the 5.3s. Like, they just felt really bad, to the point where in hovering, just hovering, I didn't do any loops, flips, anything, nothing at all. Just hovering, I threw a prop. I threw half a prop. So I sent those back to where I purchased them from, and I ordered some more 5.3s. These are some other 5.3s that I had laying around. They don't match, but quite honestly, who cares when you're flying FPV? You just need props that work. So 6.3s were a complete bust for me with this frame. I may go back and try some 5.4s. What I've read in the forums, I wasn't expecting it. I'm only pulling 6 amps per motor right now on 5.3s with a 3S setup, and I'm running anything from a 2220C, or excuse me, 2225C up to a 1335C. So a little higher C rating on the lower batteries, which obviously you would need. But with that range, I have 4 2200s I fly, 2 1700s, and probably 4 or 5 1300s. The 1300s I have one Lumineer 35C, which is the best battery I have, and then I've got some others that are 1300 milliamps that are 25C. I would recommend a 1300 to 1400 milliamp battery at least 40C, 40 to 60C, just to hold that voltage for longer. And when I'm flying flat out, fast forward flight, I'm getting 3.5 minutes on a 1350 25C Rhino Li-Poly battery. That's enough of that. Let's look into this a little bit. So with these 10 degrees forward bank, what I ended up doing first, which ended up being incorrect, was I took a motor off, I put a bubble level on the motor mount, and I raised this by 10 degrees, and I zeroed my board there. It caused a lot of issues, and I could not get it to fly well at all. So did a little bit of research. I think it was multi-rotor forums. You can find some information. There was about 5 or 6 comments on one page about the CC3D on the QAV with these mounts. Long story short, zero your board here and then make a couple changes. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to zero the board. So I'm going to do the best to show this to you if I can. We're using the CC3, or this is OpenPilot GCS, and I am on the attitude tab, and what I do is I just level the gyro, and I'm sorry about the glare, I don't know if I can fix this or not. I don't know if you can even read that. So basically you're just going to level it, let it level, just takes a few seconds. Once that's done, what I like to do is I go to the Systems tab, and then when it's all closed, you have Settings and Data Objects. Click on Data Objects and go down to Attitude State. So you'll open that up, and then go down to Pitch. So your pitch right now is roughly 0. It's going to be off a little bit, but as you can see that number moving around, I don't even know if you can read it. But once you click on Attitude State and then go down to pitch. Mine's reading 0.041, 0.03. It fluctuates a little bit. So we need to make that negative 10 degrees. So go back to your configuration, and then go to pitch. And because I left the page and went back, it actually already updated for me. And again, I don't know if you can see this. It's negative 10. So you have roll, mine is 0, and my yaw is 0. I don't have any issues with that. It's just the pitch. Change pitch to negative 10, and then save that. Once that's saved, you can go back to System, go back to Attitude State, and that didn't update. That needs to change. So we're going to go back to Configuration. We'll 0 that, we'll save it, and level it. I tried to do this without changing my settings, but I think I'm going to have to get this through. Alright, so it's 100%. We're going to save that. Go back to System. Go to Attitude State, Pitch. It's reading 0.04, 0.03. So we're going to go back to Configuration and change the pitch to negative 10. Save that. So that's a negative 10 pitch saved. We'll go back to System, and now it's reading pitch negative 9.9, negative 10. So it's hovering right around 10. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know how clear this is. But once you do that, and then when you go back to the copter, and if you were to lift it and throw, I don't have it, but if you were to lift it and throw a bubble level right here and level it off, once you do that, you could go back to your pitch. And right now my pitch is reading, I'm holding this with my hand, so it's going to move around a bit, but right around 0 degrees. So that'll get you hovering. I'll go ahead and disconnect this. So you used to hover like this. It'll hover like this a bit, and then as soon as you give it, if you punch the throttle, it'll punch up. But if you give it throttle more than a second or so, it'll punch and then start to level off and move forward. So it's a little bit harder to get a nice level hover with this, but the whole purpose for this is for a little bit faster forward flight and a little flatter. I'm able to, as you can, I don't know how easy you can see this, but I do have my board mounted, my board camera mounted up a little bit, probably about 4 or 5 degrees, and then my Mobius is also mounted up a little bit as well. So when I am, fast forward flight used to be about like this. With the mounts now, this would be level. This is fast forward flight about right there. So it does level off, and the Mobius does still look at the ground a bit, but you still get some sky in the view, so it's not like when you used to fly low, and I don't know if this works here, but if you used to fly low and fast, it was like this. It definitely does flatten it out a bit. It does seem to be a little bit faster, and it does do a pretty good job at keeping that view looking forward, and it definitely flies better in fast forward flight. Like I said, hovering's a little bit of a trick, and when you're coming in for a landing after flying FPV, it feels a little bit weird to get used to it because you're coming down like this, and then once you set it down, it's okay. But hovering feels a little bit weird for a little bit. It takes about 5 or 6 batteries to get used to it. And again, as far as I can see, it's not hovering quite as precise as it used to. But I don't hover very often. I do a lot more fast forward flighting, and that seems to work very well for me. I'm going to go over my settings really quick because it took me quite a while to get some decent settings, and I'm quite happy with these right now. Let's see here. Which bank do I? Well, it would probably help if I plug back in. I'm going to go to input. I've been bouncing around with which, okay, I'm using bank 2 right now. So we'll go back to stabilize, PID bank 2, advanced. So I'm using for attitude mode, which quite honestly I really don't use anymore. I have roll and pitch. I have roll set at 90, pitch at 80, yaw at 180. And then the rate mode response, I have both pitch and roll at 600 degrees per second, with the max rate limit at 700 degrees per second. That makes for a really fast roll and pitch, so you can do loops and rolls very quickly. You can basically do fast forward flight into a front flip, back to fast forward flight without losing. You might lose 6 inches of altitude. I mean, it's very quick. I really like that. So yaw I've got set at 360 degrees max limit, and then 350 is the rate mode response. And for roll, this is the inner loop. Roll I've got 0.00250 for P. My I is 0.00712, and the derivative is 0.000015. For pitch, the P is 0.00304. My I is 0.00869, and then the derivative is 0.000020. And then yaw I've got at 0.00480, and then my I is 0.00485. And then my attitude settings, my outer loop, my roll is 2, pitch is 2.5, yaw is 2.5. And those seem to work quite well for me. It all depends on how you fly, if you're looking for fast flight or what you're looking for. What I'm looking for is something that I can fly fast, low, and then make really quick pitch and roll adjustments. So you can be flying, 40, 45 miles an hour, and then do a hard 90-degree bank, and then yank back on the stick to give pitch, and you can change degrees very quickly. You can basically do probably almost a 90-degree turn very easily. It's pretty hard on your props. I've been using Gen Fam mostly, or Gem Fan mostly. I want to try some HQ props because they have some carbon composite props that are probably a little stiffer that may help with that. But that's the next test. I also want to try some 5x4, just go up an inch in pitch and see what that does for me. And next step after that is just going 4S. I just want to make a really fast ballistic 250 and see how that goes. So let me know if you guys have any questions. I'll be happy to answer them. And happy flying.